Today we're covering Dorinthea for Project Blue, and I think that Dorinthea has access to a good equipment suite while also presenting lots of combat tricks for your opponent, and in a format that's very light on defense reactions, I think that effects like these are even more powerful. So today we're going to go through the list. Our equipment suite is very simple. We have Gallantry Gold. This is a block 1 that eventually can turn into a +1 Anthem effect on our Dawnblade for the turn, and the whole point of this deck is getting our Dawnblade to hit twice, that way we're able to generate counters on it. All we need to do is we need to give the Dawnblade go again, and the Dawnblade needs to hit. So Dawnblade is a once per turn action, but because of Dorinthea's effect, when her weapon hits, it lets her bypass that once per turn limit on the weapon text itself. 2 very simple steps every single turn with Dorinthea. Ideally, it's find a way to give Dawnblade's attack go again, and then find a way to have it hit the opponent. A lot of our deck has to be centered on blue specifically because we do need a lot of resources to attack with the Dawnblade twice in a single turn. So this is not a very red line based list. You're probably going to need to keep a blue every single hand. But we have a lot of 0 and 1 cost to react. So for instance, Agile Engagement is a way to give something +3 in the reaction step after your opponent has committed blocks. In terms of defensive cards that can play at that point in the reaction step, you have a good chance to push this over and connect, which will help you attack with it twice. However, like what we talked about, pushing the Dawnblade over is good, but you need it to have go again. So you can use something like Hidden Run prior to swinging with the Dawnblade, pushing it over in reactions with these pumps, and then swinging it again, threatening that counter. Refraction Bolters is also a start and play, stay and play option to get that go again if you really need to. The rest of the deck is all based around pumps, whether they be in reactions or before you attack with the weapon itself, or it's ways that you can actually give it go again, and that is the overall deck. Warrior's Valor is a very good card. The rest of these, they're all very similar effects with the same intention. It's either a +3 pump or a way to give it go again. Our blues are more utility focused. We have Push Forward. This gives it Dominate if we are in a blocking style matchup, or in the very end game, we find a quick way to push it over for lethal. Trot Along is another go again effect for our Dawnblade attack. Goblet is a setup card. This is really good if we have to go first. We get to make ourselves an agility and a vigor. Those are 2 of the tokens that really work for Dorinthea. Reducing your weapon cost for the turn, and then also giving it go again inherently is very strong. We have Nip of the Heels is just a block 3, a +1 reaction, and then Overpower is something we can dump into. So you have to kind of think about these. When you fill it out with blues, are they good and are you able to convert all of your resources? Or in the end game, do you have a way to actually push your Dawnblade over for lethal? In our sideboard, we have Agile Windup. This is a agility maker that you could bring in against Illusionist as a way to pop something with Phantasm while also making an agility token. We have Oasis and AB for Wizard. We have Steelblade Shunt for Dominate, Go Tall decks. This is actually a really solid D-React that's available in this format. And then we have Red Overpower in the decks that are concerned about blocking you out, that you're going to be triggering Reprise against fairly often. Reprise is a keyword that does come up mainly from Welcome to Wraith, where you need your opponent to block with cards and able to turn on their effects. Your opponent can actually choose to play around this by denying to block with cards, but this is something we'll get into later. Now we're going to jump into a game, that way you can see how I would play this deck. Okay, so we're playing against Dash.io here. Our game plan is kind of simple. I think we actually could have pivoted to Fatigue just simply in sideboarding. We could have actually sided in the Oasis and the 2 shunts and just use Old Knocker to play a shunt if we ever needed to. I just didn't really want to do that for the sake of the video today, but I definitely think that that's a totally viable way to play this matchup. I just didn't really feel like showcasing that, so we're just going to play like old school Dawnblade Dorinthea, because I need to show some lines about how you're going to play something like Dawnblade rather than just me blocking out the entire game. So we're going to go ahead and let this connect. No reason to push it over with the react yet, because our opponent didn't commit to it, and it's the next swing for 3 that's going to threaten the Dawnblade counter. So that's when we want to use our reaction here, and then we'll go ahead and send it again for 3. If our opponent commits a block, we'll just puncture it. They're not going to. We actually could use Old Knocker here and get to Arsenal the Trot Along. It's not a terrible idea, but I don't think it's a very impactful card to have in the arsenal, so I'm just going to go ahead and clear it out. Our opponent actually does go to 7, which is pretty crazy. We have a Dawnblade counter. If our opponent can't present 20, they don't have any blocking equipment, and we do. I could definitely see us just like saying no blocks from here on out. It looks like this hand can at least block 5 though. We're going to get go again and a +1 react, so that's actually pretty much perfect. This comes in for 6. I don't think we really need to block this. I think we can wait a little bit longer. If Boom Grenade is the first card off the top, I think we'll just take the L on that. You're going to play Die Through Data. This one I am a little bit more incentivized to block currently, just because I don't want them to have the opt effect. It is a pretty powerful thing for the deck to do. I'm going to come in with a Zipper Hit. Could see us blocking for 2 like this. If they commit a Boom Grenade, we'll play a Take It on the Chin. If not, we'll just hold this. Okay, they're going to go ahead and crack their backup protocol. And then they're going to send this. I am just going to wait to see, and then we're just going to Take It on the Chin here just to get our go again source. The only thing is, I think that actually, now that I think about it, now that I just committed to the play, I think that was a mistake. I think we could have, I think we definitely could have held the Take It on the Chin for the Arsenal because we have Refraction Bolters. So we already have a way to get go again on this turn. I don't think that we actually needed to push it over. So I think it was totally viable that we could have actually just held this in Arsenal. We're going to let this connect. No reason not to. If this connects, we're going to push a second counter. So now we're at 2 counters on the Dawn Blade. We have a +3 reaction, and then we also still have bolters up, so we can keep just 1 blue and basically threaten to close out the game at any point. We can think about actually blocking here. I don't want to randomly get got by a Boom Grenade when we're already this ahead and she's this far down on cards, so I'm just gonna not run the risk. We don't need to use Old Knocker on curve anymore, so it's not as relevant. We're just gonna have to let this hit. We can block it for 6. We could also just take all of it. I think taking all of it also is like totally reasonable because I don't think that there's any way the Dia will be able to win the game if we just keep all of this. So we're gonna go ahead and pop Gallantry. Access to 2 reacts plus bolters. I don't think that there's any way that she is able to block this out without committing every single card in hands. So we're gonna go ahead and push this over. We'll go ahead and play the Out for Blood. Push it over by 2. We are gonna go ahead and use our Refraction Bolters to get go again. And then this will come in for, I think it's 6. Okay, it was 7, right? Because we have the Gallantry in addition to the Out for Blood. So definitely pretty explosive final turn. I do think, but to go back to the decision to not block, there is something I probably could have thought about there. If she does have access to 12 block, she can reset the Dawnblade counter. And while we just get to Arsenal and pass for the next turn, it does mean that we took 6 damage and we weren't able to push over the Dawnblade, and the last 2 cards were kind of redundant. I don't really fault myself for making that play, but that is one more thing to keep in mind though, is that, you know, if she is able to fully block out the Dawnblade, you need to be careful if you're going to take a bunch of damage to like sandbag a bunch of reactions. I just thought the likelihood of her having the ability to fully block it out was going to be pretty low, just because this deck naturally has some 2 blocks and some non-blocks. So the likelihood with no armor for her hand to actually block 12, I thought was low. But you should keep that in mind, because sometimes taking too much damage when your opponent can just stick their entire hand in front of your Dawnblade and reset your counter, and then you can't even like push over your reacts, and now you have to find a way to do it again next turn. I think it's something to at least keep in mind when you're going to make like some kind of gambit based off of your life total. But hopefully that was kind of helpful, seeing how the deck kind of functions on a turn-to-turn basis. Until next time, thank you for watching.